taking a little bit of a different approach to how we're announcing or launching our newer products. It's more of an interactive session, sit down, take it through it rather than doing a big splash and death by PowerPoint presentation, have you stand for an hour. Today we're announcing our last three products for this year from a handset wise, and we have two new mods that we're bringing into the marketplace. So we have the G5s and the G5s Plus. We have the Moto X4. So these two will be replacing the current G5s that are in market, and the X4 we're reinvigorating the X brand. The last product we did was about 2 years ago. We did that with Vodafone, and so now we're bringing the X4, which is all about style and look and finish. And then we have some new mods that are bringing in. So one is the 360 camera, which was announced a little bit earlier, but now we're bringing that with onto the device. And then we're bringing in the gamepad, which we gave a bit of a sneak peek at our last launch event. And now we actually have the final production version and ready to go in market. So I will start with the gamepad. This is my personal favourite. Only because it's one of the rare times that I think a product or an accessory is actually going to sell a product rather than a product selling the accessory. So the gamepad uses your standard joystick control. So if you're used to using gaming or a Nintendo one, it works the same way. There's a lot of gamepads out there already in the marketplace for phones. A lot of them are Bluetooth, and they're Bluetooth connected as well. A lot of the games have the profiles. But there's two big pain points with those. One is if you're a serious gamer, there's latency when you're using the Bluetooth connectivity. The other one is battery consumption, because the Bluetooth consumes a lot of battery. So what we've done with our gamepad, this has been done as part of our Legion branding, so it works with our Lenovo Legion PCs, gaming PCs. So if you're in the gaming section, you'll know that this is a pretty huge brand.
Was that the intent the whole time for that product, or is this something you come up, oh, it's a good idea to put it under Legion?
No, it's been part of the plan since day one, and you'll see some more things come through on that, in linking in and tying in with PC gaming and handset gaming in the future. We've put a battery in here. There's a 3000 milliamp hour battery. Apart from the controls, it also plugs in. So when you're actually playing a game, it is physically hardwired. Where's my phone? It is physically hardwired and connected. So there's no latency that normally comes up. And from a gaming perspective, then you just use it as you would any other normal game, move around standard joystick controls. All right, then pop it off, and the phone will go off, and it goes back into the mode where you had the game last, so you don't actually lose your place. Because it's got a battery in here, you're using the battery off this first before you're using the battery off the device, and at the same time it'll actually charge the phone as well. Alright, so when you do take the phone off, you will have the maximum amount of battery life available, so you're not actually running it flat.
So there's a benefit to having a portable battery charger
built in, yeah.
You can actually game with.
Built into your gamepad, so absolutely, it's a great innovation. So this will be available for $139. This will be available on our online store, and will be available through selected retailers as well, Good Guys, JB Hi-Fi's, etc.
So while we're on the gaming topic, so you said, okay, we're doing Legion. Does that mean you're pushing it to those, like really those guys who hardcore guys who play several hours a day? Those guys who do Switch or Nintendo. They take their game with them. They play their games all the time. Not like very casual guys might whip it out once a week or something.
We're targeting both markets, both consumer segments. So those who do want to have a serious gaming experience, and for those who do want to just have the odd game, we'll give it to the kids so they can play. What we've done also to make it easier for consumers to actually find the games for their devices, we worked with, let me bring it up on the display. We have worked with Google, and when you go into the Play Store, what we've done is we actually put in a link. So it's it's like a storefront for the Moto games, right, on Explorer. So we actually look in the back of Google Play Store, and we peel out all the games that are compatible, ready to go. So it makes finding the games a lot easier as well for the device, and then you just pay for them via the normal Play Store.
Danny, would you say there are any brand name devices you're trying to compete against with this actual controller? What about, say for example, a lot of people consider NVIDIA Shield gold standard for Android gaming. Is that something you aspire to, for example?
We're not trying to aspire or compete with, I guess, other vendors in that space. We're just trying to make the experience better with our devices, and give more connectivity or more,
And since
more
this
things.
is a moto mod, that's family compatible, is it? Not
Correct.
just for this shape handset.
Correct. So it's compatible with all the Moto Z family of products. Like we say, we guarantee for 3 years forward and backwards
3
compatibility.
years. Okay.
So if you have an existing Moto Z or Moto Z Play or a Moto Z Z2 Play, this will work with that device as well. Plus, any future ones that we may bring out in the next year. So that's one of the great things. So you can have one product, keep the kids occupied, give them gaming. You want to do some photography, go with a 360 camera, or you want to, for example, have a charger. You can use it, with a battery. If you've got the car dock, you can plug the phone into your car. So your phone becomes, a hub of different things that can be connected, and away you go. And it'll launch straight into Android Auto mode.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, yes, yes, right.
There's projectors as well. There's a whole host of things that'll go in. So you plug that in.
That's great.
So this is actually great for business meetings. I was just saying, the guys was in a customer meeting, and the projector blew, the globe lamp blew on the projector.
Really?
And I forgot I had this in my bag, so I pulled it out and I remember, Google Docs. So I put the presentation on my phone and was presenting it. The guy walked back in, he says, "Oh, you got the projector working?" I said, "No, it's my phone." Sold straight away. They equipped the whole fleet of execs
really?
with this. So
Yeah,
I
I've
wasn't
heard-
even trying to do that, and it was just...
I've heard a similar story in the plane. One of my colleagues, somebody I knew, I can't remember, they had some sort of plastic stand or some custom-made product. They wanted to fly it. And apparently everybody on the flight was asking about where they get the stand for the phone from. Because it's such still, these sorts of things are such still a unique product, not just from Android, for iPhone as well.
Yep. No, exactly. So these are the important ones that consumers want to do. So we see a lot of benefit for the gamepad. Then the next one is the 360 camera. So there's a lot of 360 cameras out on the market right now. Their average price point sits between about $399 to $499, depending on the quality that you want. A lot of them only do 720p or 1040. What we're doing here is actually in 4K.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So 180 or 360 in 4K quality. It's a 12 megapixel camera, but it's 4K quality with a huge aperture. 4 microphones. So when you're actually capturing in 360, you're actually also capturing the sound in 360 as well. Right? So if something's coming or going, I had a great video of a Shinkansen and I've lost it. I'm just busting. But what was happening is the train was coming and you can actually see it fly past, and then you see it wrap around the screen as it's going past. So the experience is just awesome. You can hear the sound as well, coming and going. So those are the great type of things. This also supports video streaming to YouTube and to Facebook as well. So live, in depth, you can move it around, what have you. Any pictures that you capture in this, you can actually set it 2 ways. Let me get my phone, because I know my phone's got all the demo stuff. So when you take a picture on it, it'll actually, when you take the picture you can actually then scroll across the screen and see what it looks like in 360, or you can actually unclip it. There's a little tick box, uncheck it, and then you can actually move the phone around as if you would in a normal environment, and that's how it gets displayed on the phone. Very simple to activate it as well. We just do the shake and take straight in. It takes you into that mode. So get that on the video there. So that's the 360. So this one here will be selling for $369. So it's be one of the cheapest 360 cameras available on the market. It uses the processing power of the phone, right? So in here is just the 360 camera, the hardware, and the DSP to drive it all. It uses the battery and the modem and all the processing capability of the device.
Any
to make it
particular
open.
reason why you need its own ISP versus leverage
The
phone?
Qualcomm chipset doesn't support that capability yet.
Okay. Just in a general sense, I'm not that familiar with these 360, but I have seen results from other phone people, and usually they have some sort of brand name 360 camera. And there's various buzzwords they call them. No, I can't remember off the top of my head. What does this do compared to the others? Does it do the same things? Does this do more? Does this do less? Others do different things differently.
A lot of the other ones are a box, require a separate stand or plug in via USB as a standalone. This is actually the form and fit. You just plug it in and you're ready to go, and it's all contained within one environment. Right, very easy to do.
So let's say going forward this becomes a thing. I can when I talk about your brand, let's say it goes a thing. in the future when people say, oh, it has a 360 camera, that's going to be one ubiquitous, universal thing. It's not going to be like, oh, this company does this sort of 360, this guy does a different way, these people.
Yeah, so
it's going to be something very ubiquitous and standard.
It will become all part of the one brand. And the experience, so you're not combining multiple things, and this allows you to do things straight off the device. So other 360 cameras, you got to either download it, store the file, then upload it to your phone and upload it to social networking.
I'm not that sure. Some people might think when you say 360, they might confuse it with panorama or something. So I'm just saying, panorama's a thing, 360 is a thing. Maybe somebody else with a different camera, they call whatever they do some variation of that sort of, whatever image they take.
So you can do 360 with a standalone camera already, like panorama 180,
yeah.
Or you can do a fisheye panorama with this, right? Or you can do a complete 360.
360. Sorry, the fisheye panorama is one shot. You still have to pan.
No, you can pan and you can do one shot.
So you just hold it there, and you don't need to worry about stitching anymore.
Correct. It'll pick it all up.
That's good.
And you see it in the field of view. It's got a little bar that goes across, and then, or the other one is you can just hold it. All right. So I'll just take a picture of this one right here. Alright, now if I swipe across, bring it up, you'll see that it's already done it. Much faster than any other ones. Other ones are still processing if you look at some of the other brands.
Even though chipsets have changed in like 5 years, it's the panorama is still, no one's perfected the panorama yet. Nobody has done it.
So, okay. Right, so that's the 360 camera, and it comes with this little condom cover that protects the lens from getting scratched as well. There's some smarts in there. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't tried it, but apparently if it detects that it's black for more than like a few minutes, it then just switches the camera off, so it doesn't chew up memory or.
I want to see the specs on that camera. I do professional 360 stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have asked the question.
No, okay.
A skeptic of 360 until I started using it.
360 is awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The way you like, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I mean, some of these, I had a vague idea, but that's kind of new, and I said, okay, that has a bit of a use. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I tried it, and once I saw that, I've gone, okay, it's just cool. Yeah. All right.
Tony, sorry, just a quick one
absolutely.
about the 360 camera. Do you rate it for any waterproof?
Good question.
It's not IP rated, no.
No,
It's not IP rated. So if you have a whoopsie, it's an expensive whoopsie.
That's fair enough.
But that being said, we do move on to the X4, which is IP68 rated. Okay. All right, so this will protect you from a whoopsie moment. From, if you're like my wife who likes to answer the phone in the shower.
Okay.
Don't ask me why.
Well, if he's calling, she has to answer.
She's still she was using a G3 and now she's using an X, but yeah, she's got a habit of picking the phone up with a wet hand or wet hair or something like that. And believe it or not, they're actually the worst. That's how you get a lot of these water ingress phones. It's not from dropping it in the ocean or people going for a dunk in the pool. It's I spilled some water, or my hair's really wet, or I dropped water in my handbag. Sweating water bottle in your handbag puts a lot of condensation on your phone. These are how phones get water damage. But this one here, the X4, so we're bringing back style and fashion and trying to make it really suave. So this is all about the looks. So
It's confusing for us too. Just call it IP rated.
It's IP rated. It's IP68. Glass front and back, Gorilla Glass, and the innovative camera. Which Jovan, come and do your thing on the camera, because I just heard his spiel.
It's your time to shine.
Now's your time. So take us through the camera.
Alright, so the camera itself, we've got two rear cameras. They're two different size megapixel cameras. So one's a 12 megapixel camera, the other is an 8. The difference between the 8 megapixel and the 12 is the 8 megapixel is a wide angled camera, so it has a 120 degree field of view, and the 12 megapixel camera has the dual autofocus pixel. So again, you get that fast autofocus with those two lenses. The camera at the front is a 16 megapixel camera, also with an adaptable 4 megapixel low light camera as well for the selfies, but it also has a front facing flash. It's also got the dual flash at the rear as well. The great thing about having just the options on having two different rear cameras at the back is that you get more options in regards to what the camera can do, rather than a monochrome and a Chrome, you actually have a wide angle and one with a faster focus in comparison to competitors. So, like the wide angle, if you haven't played with it, it's actually nice and easy. By turning it on, you have that option over here as well, and you can see that wide angle coming through. Please have a play with it, guys, if you want to see what.
But exclusive look feel,
So you have to toggle it in the phone. You don't just change the slider and automatically changes.
No, so it's not a toggle between the 8 and the 12. You've got the landscape mode and the portrait mode. Where the landscape will turn that 12 megapixel on. Both cameras do work at the same time though. It's not separate, so you do get that selective focus functionality at the end.
So Moto has a lot of gestures. If you change the landscape, like I'm shooting here, it's not going to change by itself or change.
No. You actually have
There you go. Send that to the product team.
choose it there as well, so you'll see that wide angle there. But again, the cameras do work together. You can take selective focus, where you get to choose the focus after the shot's been taken.
Okay.
So whether you want the rear or the back, and through a depth editor as well, so you get to change the background. You get to choose the focus on the.
It was interesting how you've gone with a hardwired flash rather than the screen flash everyone else has gone for, because I do notice in certain conditions the screen flash is just hopeless. Like you just don't get enough power off it.
Because it gives you a white washout.
Yeah, and it just won't. It doesn't help at all, really. You have to get really close to it. But is the power on the front the same as the back?
No,
Flash?
so the flash at the back
Yep.
is the dual flash, so you get that better natural look. But that is just your standard LED flash.
Yeah, that's right. That's still better than doing the screen flash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Still get a nice
It's
bright.
like, just when you want it to work, it just doesn't do it for you.
You can still take photos in the water as well. Again with the IP68 rating.
Oh, yeah, cool.
You just need to use that shutter button to.
Right, video as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Though we don't recommend that you go for a swim and take photos.
Again, so with the IP water, the IP68 system, I think it's 1.5 meters underwater for 30 minutes.
Oh, yes.
If it is salt water or chlorine, rinse it out immediately once you get done.
Yeah.
In a thorough rinse, not just like because it is salt water, it will stay. And the G5s has got a dual camera system as well. It's a dual 13 megapixel cameras at the rear. One's a true monochrome and one's just a normal full RGB.
Sorry, just before we continue, these ones with the dual cameras, there's a support in the video mode also.
I don't know, been able to test, but not with the selective focus, no.
So say when someone wants to do a wide angle video.
Yeah, you can do the wide angle video on this as well. I've done the wide angle video on the X4. The wide angle option is not available on the G5 Plus because it's two 13 megapixel rear cameras.
Okay, the same lenses on
Same lens, yeah. One's just a true monochrome and the other one's a full color RGB camera.
So 2 times 13, yeah.
Yes.
So it's interesting you're going
bokeh
for.
effect, right? That's called bokeh effect.
Yeah.
Bokeh effect, yeah.
So it's interesting you're going with these two approaches because your competitors are going with the mono and they go, oh, we do such and such, and when you announce that one overseas, you go, oh, we're doing the wide angle now. It seems you're going both camps. Maybe not decide to go, oh, that one's a premium, that one's not so premium. We'll try both.
No, it's got to do more with the selected user group and what we're going for. So for a value segment, it's more effective, whereas someone who's paying a little bit more premium would kind of go for.
Yeah. Because what I'm finding with the others, in practice, I'm not finding the dual sensor that practical. Someone might buy it and look at what result am I getting. Maybe that thing is more practical. Somebody they go, okay, I bought this is what I got, and then maybe if they bought the cheaper phone, they go, I might want that feature on the cheaper phone, for example.
Oh, yep, and again with the G5, you've got the 5 megapixel at the front and 12 megapixel at the rear as well. So again, we'll have the dual autofocus pixel at the back. Functionality-wise, I've been using the X4 for a while. It's with a wide angle, especially you can actually play with it physically. So you can get that kind of, if you're focusing in the middle, you can get that telephoto kind of feel, like from a top angle when you're doing the wide angle. So everything kind of looks like toys. That kind of feel. With the dual 13 cameras, With monochrome, you have those options to do black and white, select the black and white, select the focusing and depth with the depth editor,
Yep.
post the photo's been taken, right? So we'll take those two images really quickly, and post the photo's been taken, you can also adjust whether you want the forefront to be focused or the rear image to be focused after the image as well. And you can do some quick edits and changes with if you decide to use the depth editor option as well.
Okay. Does that dual lens allow you to do a better zoom as well?
No.
No.
So it hasn't got like physically the digital zoom on it is
Is what it is.
what it
No
is.
mechanical optical zoom.
No. Okay.
That's what
They're the same lenses, aren't they?
Correct.
Yeah.
All good. If you want mechanical zoom,
Just due to the size of devices, I don't think they can go more than 2 times optical. Anything more than you're going to get like a massive rear. Where this gives you 10 times
times mechanical zoom. And you're using the Hasselblad imaging array and the other software combined with it, so the quality is just like commercial grade quality. One of the was it Time magazine? Hey Jeff, which magazine was shot completely on the Sports Illustrated? Yeah.
The cover. Swimsuit issue, wasn't it? No, it wasn't swimsuit.
I don't know. Yeah. So
That's not even
It was the one that had the rock on the cover. From what picture.
The Rock, and now I know where she knows. It's Dwayne Johnson. Yeah. So yeah, for mechanical zoom, that's where we really go. So I mean, we're trying to play in that imaging space and trying to give customers the best possible imaging in the price tiers that they're going for, right? And these different segments allow that.
Even the price that this is going for in regards to dual camera, it's the thing that price range offers a true monochrome and dual. So the true monochrome and true color dual lens capability. A lot of the top tier, higher price points would have this option, but we've put that option in the G5.
So for G5 on Motorola's implementation, you don't mix the sensors anyway to get the extra data for focus data or tone mapping or these sorts of things. One is just solely for monochrome.
I couldn't tell you. I'd have to go back and ask.
Did you mean like share the different sets, the one sensor for both cameras?
No. Share the data between the different camera packages.
So in regards to like what the
Just general photography.
it's very hard to say.
Because what I've noticed is that other manufacturers imply they share data like they do. What the monochrome does some sort of functions when you're taking a normal color picture.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's
We'd have to go ask the camera team and come back to you with an answer on that one. We couldn't tell you. So the G's coming out, available again tomorrow. So the G's will be in all the channels, Harvey's, Good Guys, Officeworks, etc. The X4 will be available via the JB Hi-Fi channel, and everything will be available via our online store. This will be starting at $699. These are $349. Sorry, the G's are $349 and $429, and the G5 Plus comes in G5s Plus comes in 2 memory configurations, 332 and 432, and there's a cost up difference.
And
The 432 version will only be available on the online store, not in general
And
retail.
all these models you were showing us today, these are all retail, not different ones.
These
like
are all
last
retail,
time.
yeah. So we've made a very strong decision to keep the G series in retail space. We're very happy with ourselves. We just got some IDC data, and the Moto G actually makes up about 40% of that $200 to $400 segment. So from market share wise, we kind
Sorry,
of
is that AU or global?
that's AU. It's just Australia. So we're very happy with our position with the Moto G in the Australian marketplace. Obviously, we're going to continue to drive additional momentum. And then the X4, bringing that in, that'll be again through JB Hi-Fi, and then the ones will be available through lots
Can
of
you
different
tell
channels.
us more about the difference in the X4 and the previous, and how you read the segment? You know, you're saying more of this mid tier now.
Yeah, so the X was all about style and style, looks and feel. So when we brought the original X out, it was about this, the concept was around designing how you wanted your phone to look, nice big display, the fit and finish was beautiful. That concept or language has still maintained through to the X4 now. At the time, the X was the highest spec or the highest price product that we had. It was always sitting around that $799 price point.
Okay.
And then we brought in the Z family over the top of that, and the mods concept. So from a branding and market and consumer segment, that has not changed on the X, and neither has the price points since we launched the first one 3 years ago.
So, say chipset and no support for motor mods, that's going to stay because now you're going, X is mid-range, so those features are zoning for higher.
No, it's not about being higher, because we also have like the Z2 Plays in a similar price, it's the same price tier. This is more for technology enthusiasts, those who want the benefit of having the additional mods ecosystem around the device. These are for people who just want a plain simple phone, want it to look good, but still want it to be functional, practical, and stylish. And the IP68 allows that.
Yes, I think the last thing is that there's an elephant in the room in that even a lot of your competitors now have the 835, even Nokia. I mean, Nokia, and people are not sure how HMD Nokia is going in the market, and you released the X, this one is of the mid-tier, Snapdragon dial, and Z is of the mid-tier also, and to some people might appear lagging behind in terms of processor technology.
It's not necessarily lacking behind in processor technology, it's fitting the right, it's like putting the right engine in the right size car, right? Just because you have a 4-cylinder doesn't necessarily mean it's any worse than a 3-litre V6 versus a 2.4-litre 4-cylinder. The chipsets power the devices for doing different things. To drive a lot of the mods, you need a more higher tier, higher spec chipset. To drive this, we can economize on the chip because we keep a very clean Android. We do updates very, very fast, which means the phone's not using a lot of power, a lot of processing capability. So you can get away with having a lighter weight processing capability to drive the same function on the device.
Yeah, but perhaps I was mentioning more on the top tier. The top tier is still the 6 series and 600 series chipset. Is that just maybe? I'm just hypothetically maybe next year we'll see. We're going to upgrade the chipset next year and bring the.
As different products come out at different timings, different vendors launch with different chips at different times. So who knows what next
I was
year's
just interested just because pretty much everyone else has the product of 835 and the Motorola is because of how long it takes to develop the devices and so on, all these different aspects. You're still using the mid-tier and the Z.
No, not necessarily. They all factor into the development cycle, right? And at what point in time you launch products.
So I guess wait and see. I guess is the answer to answer everything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are you launching with 7.1 or with 8.9 for the end?
We are launching with 7.1 and upgrading to 8.0. So these will all get upgrades.
Okay. Do you have a timeline on that one?
But normally we're pretty quick on the timeline, so these ones will probably get it before the end of this year. We don't have the exact dates yet.
Okay.
How are you going with the mod stuff? It's a cool way to approach phones. And are you getting you're noticing that the community's growing? Is it a strong community?
Absolutely. Actually, the attachment rate in Australia is really good. We're at 63%.
Oh, really?
So if that's for electronic connected mods, right?
Yeah.
If I was to just take with the style caps, the style caps brings us up to almost 90%. We're finding that even with the style caps, the consumers, there's 3 main colors that people prefer. They'll go for the crimson red, they'll go for the ballistic grey nylon, and the leather, the black leather. They're the 3 most popular covers that people buy. From a mods perspective, the JBL speaker is the most popular here in Australia, and then followed by the battery, right? And if you look at different markets, I'll compare, say, like Japan, for example. Japan is the Hasselblad camera.
Oh,
Yeah, that makes sense for that market. Yeah. Interesting you mentioned a tetra of different colors cases on a phone that is metallic. I mean, you guys were the ones who introduced the whole concept of ordering a phone in your own color. So maybe backward step, side step. I'm not really sure where that's going.
Not necessarily a sidestep. It's when people customize their phone, that's great. But what we found is consumers, we tried a path of we'll bring back your phone and then we'll redo it up again with different looks and feel. Consumers still wanted to continue to keep modifying their phone along through the life cycle.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And
might get sick of red after a month.
But not only that, I'm going to use my wife as a reference point. My wife's she steals all my stuff, right? And sometimes she changes the cover depending on what outfit she's wearing or what handbag she's got. Now, to me, I've never changed it. I still have the same one, but she changes it multiple different times. So people are fashion conscious like that. You know, I remember a previous girlfriend of mine, she had 3 razors. She had a pink one, a black one, and a silver one. And depending which jeans she wore, what top, she would change it. You know, just put the SIM card in one to the other. So people are still looking for customization. So we're doing that by allowing the mods. But it's allowing customization on a different level. The whole modular phone design concept, which is where, you know, we're trying to head with Moto Maker. When it came time to doing testing and compliance, you would, with a lot of carriers, you would have had to do compliance on like 300 different permeations of what the device can be, right? And some of these regulators and carriers are like, I haven't got resource to test all these things. So instead of putting it in the hardware and fixing it at a factory level, you can do it post-market, right? And so you have a base model, which, you know, it's very difficult to make a ubiquitous handset for everybody, right? Because different consumers want to do different things. And we can see that in the behavior here in Australia. You can't make a phone with a super huge camera and a big speaker, otherwise your phone's going to be like this big, right? Mods allows you to do that whenever you want and how you want it. That's the power of the modular
Can you do
concept.
a DJI controller as well? That'd be fantastic. It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
DJ. Oh, the drones.
Yeah. That'd be great.
What a great concept for a mod.
Yeah.
That's
Drone
2.
one.
You got 2 marketing
Look at
things
that.
today. You have to take to the
If you
team.
do it, then I get a cut. You got that recording? Yeah, I've got it.
He's got 2 today.
What a
one
great
for
concept. Yeah, you know, flick it off the back, take a picture, take an elevator view of a shot or something.
You mentioned, you know, it's hard to make a phone that fits everywhere. That's an interesting point for what I'm going to ask is, we're seeing a resurgence of smaller phones from some of your Android competitors. What's your personal point in that sort of thing, and what's the company line on that sort of thing in terms of different size phones? You know, in terms of the different, you've got different segments here.
Well, there's only one line, that's the company line. What I say is irrelevant. So the view, look, there is a different trend for consumers on screen sizes and sizes
And just
of
to
the
be
phones.
clear, I'm referring to about the resurgence, not what people prefer. I mean, there's a couple of people that just brought some models back now, the smaller ones, sub 5 inch.
Yeah, so there is, and that is, there are people with smaller hands. There are people who don't want to carry a big phone. They want to, you know, just hide something very uniquely in their pockets or in their jeans and things like that. So walking around with a 6-inch, you know, phablet.
So these
doesn't
ones are
allow
here,
that.
there's a 5.5 and 5.7, what we're looking at here in today's demo.
Yeah, 5.2 and 5.5.
5.2 and 5.7,
Right.
yeah.
So we kind of went to that concept with the last previous G series. We went from 5.5 back to 5.2, and then 5.2 back to 5-inch. Because consumers are saying that in this value segment, where they don't need a big display, they're not looking at multimedia and consuming things, they just want a phone to throw in their handbag. So that marketplace is trying to just find where it's going, and it's kind of settling now around 5.2 to 5.5. But there are consumers who want to, you know, people commute to work on the train, they want to watch stuff and consume multimedia, so, or they want to read something, so they want that slightly bigger display. But there is absolutely a market for 5-inch as well.
So what,
Even 4.7. Sorry, excuse me, 4.7.
so how, as an Android maker, how do you categorize what inches, what size? So, for example, what would you say 4.7 is, but what would you say 5 is, what would you say 5.5 is?
We look at consumer research and segmentation to see what consumers in
So, I
those
mean,
price tiers are willing
is
to
that
pay.
mid-size, small size, larger size? I mean, how does the words and the terminology, does it relate to the actual size of the device?
We don't really categorize by size of the device. We just, you know, we go by mid-tier product.
Okay.
Would require XYZ screen.
Feature.
Yeah, it
okay.
becomes what's the hygiene feature for that price
Right.
tier segment and type of consumer.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, do you find many people picking up 2 mods? More than 2?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you look at some of our data, out of that 63% of consumers, if you drill into that data, 20% of those have more than 2 mods, and then you get down to like 10% which have 4 mods, right? And then in between that, the remaining is, you know, they have 3 mods or something like that. The other thing that we're noticing a trend on is consumers may buy a phone, and then about a month later, or 3 to 4 weeks later, they'll buy a style cap. And then about another month later, they'll buy either another mod, like a battery or the speaker, or something like that. And then probably every few weeks, they might buy an additional one. We're starting to see that. So like we can see this via even our own online store, where we, you know, you log in, you get a customer account.
Yeah.
So a customer who bought a Z1 a year ago is now all of a sudden buying a battery. So a year after he's bought the product, he's now buying a battery. which means there's longevity.
You're sort of refreshing your phone without getting a new phone, eh?
Exactly.
So, yeah, cool. All right.
With the attach rate, is there any clue in terms of where people are buying? Like, for example, your retail, you have these with retail partners, and most of these, the attachments, the bundling coming from retail, or people who buy online, they're also ticking, I want an accessory, or people buying, say, from a channel reseller, they're going, buying.
Yeah, so the main channel that's selling the Z2 Play and the mods, or the Z family products and mods, has been Harvey Norman.
All right, yeah, so retail partners.
And Harvey's have kind of limited themselves to core products, battery, speaker, right?
Okay.
Some stores carry the camera as well because they've got a strong camera section, but the bulk of the mods consumers have been coming to our online store, or some of the retailers have their own online stores with order fulfillment straight away, right? So they don't carry it at a store level, but they carry it on an online store level.
So it's a bit of a mix of different.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
But all the unique stuff like the car dock and a lot of the style covers, they come from our online store.
Yeah. So people are actually deciding, like you said earlier, with when people are they're actually deciding, okay, I like this phone, I want to buy more stuff for it, versus say the retailer generally pushes them to buy, say, a bundle of different things. Okay, that's interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
today for coming in.
That's right.